Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel. Though it's a bit late, but it's still the year 2022, I will wish everyone a happy new year. Now for today's program, I will be sharing with you my experience with how I fit all this PC component in this ITX case. And this is my first time doing it. So along the way, when I share my experience with you, and if you have better suggestion, you can leave your comment in my comment section. And for those of you who are actually new, welcome to my channel. So let's begin. The choice of component that I make use of, I'll start off with the motherboard. This is coming from Asustek B550i. I believe it's actually the gaming ROG Strix. And the processor that I'm using is coming from AMD 5700G that comes with an integrated graphic in this processor. The RAMs, I'll be using the Crucial 32GB kit. This is running at clock speed of 3200 and it's non-RGB. And the power supply, I'll be using the Cooler Master V850. This is a FSX model. And of course, the cooling, I will be using this Silent Loop 2 coming from Bequiet, which is the 280mm variant. Now, on top of this, right, this is actually in progress. This is my old 1070 Ti Mini, which I intend to build in this case itself, but I will have to do this on another video. And as for the case, I'll be using the Lian Li Q58 ITX case, and these are the tools that I'll be using: screwdrivers and zip tie. I've forgotten to mention about the storage that I'll be using. These are the storage. I'll be using 2 sticks of Crosair MP510 M.2s, each contain of 500GB of space, and these are the generation 3 nvme. Now, before I piece out every component into this case itself, right, I will do the testing, and I've actually done that. So for those of you who are curious how I do the testing on all the components, you can click on the top right hand corner where I leave the URL to test on all the physical component. Next, I will be checking on the latest BIOS and to install the latest OS, which is Windows 11 on this stick itself. And there is a guide too. You can click on the top right hand corner again, whereby it shows you how I install before I fit all the component in. As being the first time fixing components in the ITX case itself, I've noticed that it's rather cramped. Though this is spacious for you to feather with all the cables and such, and all these cables, right, if I don't route them properly, right, I will need to tuck them in, and this might block the bottom fan, or should I say the case fan itself. So I have my own method of dealing with this. I'll first start off with knowing where are the contact points, as in like the connection points, like the SATA, the 3.0, 3.2, the front header, the 24-pin connector, power connector, the EPS connector, and the audio cable. So having to say so, right, what I've done is it was actually crimped. These cables are actually crimped to the case itself, as in like with this. So I've dismantled them and I'm going to sort them out, and I'm going to route them nicely, do some cable tie. And do note that this motherboard is just to show. In fact, it's not fixed at all, as you can see. So it's just a guide for me to see where the orientation is. I will start off with the routing of the cables. After filling with the case itself and to understand the route on the motherboard, those contact points, I decided to do on the graphic card end over here. As you can see, the power cable, right, is dangling over here. This can be done nicer. And the audio cable, which is gonna be over here, because the motherboard location, I mean the audio cable to connect the motherboard is over here. So I'll start off with routing the audio cable and the power cable. I've done the cable ties on the cables, those that's supposed to route to the respective area. As you can see over here at the bottom, see, if you were to cable tie them, right, I believe this will do lots of clearance so that when you mount the fan, right, there won't be any cable hindering or, you know, touch the fan itself. So that's the reason why I route the cables and cable tie them properly first. And at the top, previously this power cable here is actually dangling outside, or should I say above the riser cable. So what I've done, right, is to remove off this bracket over here, take out the riser, and did the cable tie together with the audio cable, because the audio cable itself, right, at the top over here, why I've located over here, because the motherboard audio connector is over here. So I routed it this way. You will have a clean look, as in like the riser is covering up the cables itself. And besides this, I have mounted the PSU on the PSU cage so that I can cable tie again these two PCI-E cables, which meant to plug to your GPU to supply the power. I've done the cable tie too. So right now I'm going to fit this whole cage to the case. Done with the PSU, and it's mounted properly with this routing properly, and the PCI-E cables routed behind, and all these cables I've tucked up. This is the audio cable. Right now is to fit the motherboard itself, but before I do so, I will need to do this back plate. After fiddling with it, and this is the arrangement, as you can see, it's tidily done. See, and I do apologize that I lost a shot. I accidentally removed off the clip that I was actually doing the cable management over here. So I'm not going to redo again, so hopefully that you guys understand where I come from. So doing the cable management itself, right, if I were to flip over here, I've taken off the bottom, see? It's all tucked nicely. So when I mount the fan itself, right, there will be more than enough clearance for airflow to go through. And besides this, I have connected the audio cable, as you can see here. It's hidden over here. Then I've connected the riser, or should I say the PCIe slot riser connector, and of course the SATA and such. If you can see over here, right, the SATA is connected to the hot swap drive over here. Next on, I'll be doing with the AIO. Before I can actually mount the Bequiet Sudden Loop 2 block on the IHS itself, I will need to remove off the original brackets and to change the given brackets from Bequiet. Now, I've done the wrong illustration. This should be done when your motherboard is outside the case and not inside the case. Reason being, right, if you were to remove all the 4 screws and take out the bracket, there is a back plate behind this motherboard and you will just drop off. Then, nevertheless, you can still do it. I will just remove section by section. I'll do the top first. Coming with the brackets itself, right, from Bequiet, there is spacer over here, as you can see. Now it's only one direction. One is with a bigger hole, the other one is a smaller hole. So make sure that it slots nicely into the hole of the back plate. then screw in, as you can see over here, it says AM4. So I will follow AM4 and AM4, and I'll just screw in. One side done. Right now I'm going to do the bottom. It's done. Next I will do the radiator fans. Now it's for me to mount the fan to the radiator and to the Q58 bracket. Now these are the Silent Wing 3 from Bequiet. They are very good fans. One thing I like about them is that due to this groove itself, right, when you mount the fans on the radiator, you can hide them, see? So you can actually hide them and you won't see the cables. But the thing is that I can't use this fans at all. Reason being, right, not say I can't use, but on the safe side, if you look at the amperage over here, is 0.50 ampere. So if I were to use 2, right, it's going to be like 1 ampere. Now some motherboards, right, will not be able to cater more than 1 ampere. Take for example this board that I'm using. Looking at the amperage, the CPU fan, the chassis fan and the AIO pump, right, they are all rated as 1 ampere. So do take note on this. If you are using a 360 AIO, imagine that all your fan headers is actually catered for 1 ampere. And as mentioned, a 360 AIO, you will be needing 3 Silent Wing 3, and it's going to be 1.5 ampere. So if you're going to plug it to your motherboard header, right, it's either going to melt or it's going to blow. So do take note on this. For this, I will swap out the fans with the Arctic P14s, and each is rated 0.12 ampere. So 2 is 0.24 ampere. So you'll be okay. Now I do know that if I were to swap out the fans, right, my temperature might suffer, but it does not matter. Reason being, right, this build is not a very high-end build, so it should be alright. I'm going to mount the fan and the brackets and such. Well, everything is done up nicely, and I fit the block on the IHS itself. Then this is the arrangement. Now initially I wanted to route this over here and to here, but the tension of the hose itself, right, is pretty taut, so I got no choice but to leave it at the top, so that's not a hindrance. And also another thing, that when I thought about it, the bottom section over here, initially this 24 pin cable is rested over here, but if I'm going to do that, right, it's going to block air because the air is actually going through from the bottom fan. So I deliberately switched the position to this so that I will leave some air clearance over here, so when the case fan is taking intake cool air, right, there will be some air passing through over here. Then at the back itself, now as mentioned, I'll be mounting a 1070 Ti Mini. That will be later part, and this will be the PCI-E cables needed. Alright, let's fire up this. Oh, before I do that, right, the moment of truth. Now, can my fan fit? Earlier on I was using the Arctic P12, but somehow it doesn't work out. Reason being, right, the fan was damaged, so I got to change to my gentle Typhoon from Nidec. So can this fit to the bottom? Let's see. Let me just click to the connection first. Done. See, as you can see, the fan just fit in nicely without any issues. And if I were to leave it up here, right, see, this is out, this is in. So as what I've suspected, that when I did some research on YouTube itself, right, a lot have been mentioning that it's not possible, or it's pretty hard to put the bottom fan. Reason being, there are so many cables over here, and they have to, I mean, they tuck the cables in and they didn't manage it before they place the fan. So if you were to actually manage all your cables properly, right, all the fitting will be just nice. See, this is, see, all right, the moment I talk about it, see, this is loose, it's not even tight. I don't even need to push anything. All right, let me just fire up this system and see, and hope that it will work. The moment of truth, this is in fact, I've not turned on the machine, this is actually the display. Let's see if it works. I've now turned on the machine, everything seems working, the fan's spinning, it's loading. Okay, that's good. There you have it, sharing the experience with you. Now, my thoughts about this case itself, right, I wouldn't say it's easy to build. There are some places that are quite tight, so you will need to be careful with certain things. And if you were to do the cable management properly, right, there shouldn't be any issue to fit in any of the parts. Also, this case itself, right, has lots of fingerprints. It's actually a fingerprint magnet. It's like you got to fiddle around with the case a lot, and all your prints is all over. So be prepared to have some cleaning solvent and cloth to wipe off all your stains, or should I say your prints, because those are actually very bad for the case itself. So do take note on this. Now, besides this, right, I do know that through some reviews and some YouTubers, they might be mentioning about this case is not really good for high-end products and such, which is true based on the fact that the only intake that you have is only the bottom fan, that's all. And there are limited space for you to place any additional fans to it. Having to say this, right, some might even resolve in changing the top panel, as in the glass panel, to something else, or having to purchase additional mesh panel like this. Now, I do have something in mind which I'm gonna give it a go, whereby I'll be using plexiglass. So I will mold something and to show you how I'm gonna mount this plexiglass without the hinge onto the case itself. So if you guys are interested to know more of this mode, right, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Alright then, hope you guys enjoyed it as I did. See you guys in the next video. Take care, goodbye, see ya.